Hi, I'm Liam with D6, and today we're reviewing this lovely piece of information here, VOLOS Guides to Monsters. It just came out, it's pretty new actually, and we thought we'd do something on it, so here I am talking about it. So, just a quick little overview of the book in itself. It's kind of like an extended monster manuals. There's a lot of like flashbacks, bring back to like 3rd edition, 2nd. There's a lot of stuff in here that was older. There are a few monsters in here that are pretty interesting to play, and they give you I think 6 more like NPC or player characters, PCs that you can use, which is really nice. They also give you a bunch of bad guy races, so they give you hobgoblins, goblins, kobolds, all that sort of fun stuff. So it's quite a nice book if your players are into adding to their amount of PCs they can play. I know a lot of DMs kind of want to shut down on the amount of different races you can be, and some even try to force into just humans, but I'm actually a big fan of the plethora of options Wizards of the Coast is giving you. So besides that, this book has a lot of stuff on specific monsters now. They go in depth in like lore. I know a lot of guys aren't. I mean, with Dungeons and Dragons especially, there are lots of moments where you are just world building and it's your game. And these books are really fantastic because they give you a lot of inspiration for, I guess, writing for your own worlds, which is really cool. The main thing that they focus on in here is beholders, giants, gnolls, goblinoids, and hags. I think there's another one too, but I can probably double check with you. It's all in there though. It's fantastic stuff, and it gives you just kind of stuff to play off of and work with. I'm using it because I kind of like the way they set up the dungeons. There's a few maps in there that are kind of janky that I'm not really about. They're just kind of roughly drawn and kind of smushed together in these weird kind of pictures. Not how I would do a map, but it's how it's done, and I think my only qualm is with kind of the maps about this thing. You know, I feel like, you know, in the long run here, they could have wasted a lot of space with the lore, and they could have just added more monsters, which would have been nice. We didn't quite get the scaling of monsters that we were kind of hoping for, as in, you know, scale for levels and encounters and stuff like that. But besides that, we're running into what looks to be a really good addition to the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition book catalog, which is great. Again, they have the thing I really like about this book too is the interactions between Elminster and Volo himself. These are really good interactions. There's lots of really solid humor that the Wizards of the Coast brings, and there's, as with every other book they've produced, they have a little blurb about kind of like a disclaimer, they call it. So if you're not aware of those, they're in basically literally every front of the book, and they're always just filled with humor and great stuff for DMs to kind of look into. So it's really nice. Another great thing about this book is they dive really deep into mind flayers, which is really nice because, you know, the mind flayers had just kind of one blurb, but now they give you kind of everything. They give you the Elder Brain, they give you a whole bunch of different classes you can play that I'm really fascinated about. And I almost want to force, or like I want to push a game or start a game in the Underdark. Out of the Abyss right now would be very, very good with Volo's Guide, because there's just a whole bunch of creatures that could be crawling around in the Underdark in this book. Another thing that I was really kind of stoked on was the Yuan-ti, which are snake people who just kind of run around and are like this weird enigma of, like, I wouldn't say they're evil, but they're emotionless bastards is kind of a good way of putting them. They're snake people, they're cold-blooded, they're kind of dickheads, and that's a playable race you can get in this, which is kind of cool, interesting to play. And then they also give you a whole bunch of like Yuan-ti, like they give you about 3 in the monster manual, but there's like at least 4 more interesting monsters you can throw at your players in this book. So it's really kind of cool. They give you more, and they elaborate more on certain types of monsters that are very cool. I'm a big fan of the gnolls, just in 5th edition. So they've expanded with giving you more gnoll types, more I guess just a different way to kind of play gnolls, and kind of gives you something so you don't have to make something up on the fly. One of the cooler gnolls that I'd like to see and have actually in the game is the Gnoll Hunter, which I looked at extensively. I plan on using it in my session tonight, actually, so that should be good. Null Hunter is kind of like this really quick, slashy guy who gets to make attacks while moving with no opportunity attacks against him. It's, essentially, he's got the mobile feat from the player's handbook, so that's pretty fantastic. I like it. And, you know, it is kind of an interesting thing because it's still easy to hit, easy to kill, but it just adds a nice little bit of flavor. They've done a whole bunch with orcs. They've done a whole bunch with beholders as well. You could throw a beholder at a level 1 party, for example, because they've made a really easy, squishy beholder eye thing. So it's not bad, but it gives the same sort of vibe, and I kind of like that idea. They give you more extensive stuff on hobgoblins, orcs, like I said before, and just a bunch of new kind of cool creatures too. And they kind of focused in this book, which I found interesting, to be more so centered around demonic incursions, with gnolls being like really pulled from their demon god Yengul, or whatever his name is, and the orcs actually are based around more of their gods too. You kind of learn more from that, and they kind of focus on more of that stuff. I think a few of the giants actually have some blurbs about you know, more in-depth giant stuff. I know Storm King's Thunder just came out and they gave us a bunch, but there's still more giant information that we're learning from. There's a fire giant siege stat line. He's like a siege weapon. He's carrying 2 massive shields. It's really cool, actually. So, but besides that sort of stuff, you know, all in all, it kind of expands on just kind of everything you want. I know. The thing I actually really enjoyed, in the back of the monsters manual, there's like a bunch of mundane creatures and stuff like that. So you had your archmage and stuff like that. They have pretty much everything now. So you can have like a mid-level. Every wizard class or wizard archetype, they have a wizard stat line for, which is really, really nice. You don't have to go through the book and go, is that a necromancer spell? It just kind of lies it all in front of you. However, don't stop you from producing your own. So, anyways, I think overall this is just another great add-on to Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. They've been very hot with what they've been doing. They've been pushing out really good content that I'm really, really big fan of. So I'd say check it out for sure. It's one of those books where, it's not only DM specific, that gives a lot of players the incentive to kind of go out and get this thing, and the humor in it in itself is actually really great, just for a part-time reader or a player even. So I recommend it for both the DM and the player, because it gives you a lot of flavor to work with your whole game, I guess. So anyways, thanks so much for checking us out. If you could like and subscribe our channel, that'd be great. If not, it's fine. We'll just have to work harder for your votes. Anyways, thanks so much, guys. Have a good one.